Right. So let's move on. We have spoken a lot about the transmission control protocol earlier as well. Today, I thought we'll have our journey something into the details of transmission control protocol. So this is how this particular chapter is organized. So we started talking about the transport layer services. We also learned about multiplexing and demultiplexing, and we have spoken sufficiently about the connectionless transport layer protocol, that is user datagram protocol. In the last class, Madam Devapriya ma'am would have taken you to the little bit component about the transmission control protocol. I thought for the completion sake, I will handle to you the transmission control protocol, that is TCP. In that, we have got four important topics. One is segment structure, then reliable data transfer, flow control, and connection management. Right. So today, we'll try our best to talk about the first one, that is the segment structure. Right. So moving on, when you look at the overview of transmission control protocol, you can find the details and the standards of transmission control protocol in these RFCs. No request for comment. Just a recall of what we have learned in engineering task force, right? So there are multiple RFCs are released, and I would always recommend you to read the latest one. And if any details are not given in the latest one, you can trace back to the older RFCs as well, right? So what are the main characteristics of transmission control protocol? First one, it is point to point. So when you have a sender here, and when you have when TCP connection is established between the sender and the receiver, you may have in between, and the connection is established in such a way that source and the destination are connected, right? So this is TCP sender, TCP receiver for our understanding. Now, when I say it is point to point, it is one sender to one receiver, which means when a TCP connection is established, it is between the source or sender and the receiver alone. What does it mean? Assume that there is another machine connected with this in this network. This is the machine C. When you have a TCP connection established, you cannot share the TCP with more than one machine. It is one to one. It is the receiver. That's it. So there is something called multicasting, right? So what is multicasting? Many machines, right? So assume that there are 10 machines available, more than one person at a time. This is called multicasting. So when you talk about the transmission control protocol, you cannot one to one. All right. In terms of TCP, if we have one connected to other, we call it as pair, right? And nobody likes the crowd. So TCP is a point-to-point connection, and nobody else en route are also aware about that. No, there is a TCP connection established between this machine and the other machine. Moving on, TCP helps us to get reliable in-order byte stream. Okay, it is on stream, it is stream. Sorry for the typo. It is reliable in-order byte stream. That is, there is no message boundaries. What does it mean? Right. So you have got the source machine here. I use some other notation. You have got the destination machine here. When the source is sending message to the destination, right? And when the destination TCP, that is the transport layer protocol at the destination, when it receives the packet, it might have received it out of order. Is that a possibility? Yes, there is a possibility. So what happens at the TCP, at the receiver side? This TCP is rearranging. Yeah. The receiver side TCP rearranges the byte streams which are received so that when it passes the data to the application layer, whatever is sent is in order by its stream, right? We have earlier in some of the classes, we have spoken about packet switching and circuit switching. All right, okay. Packet switching and circuit switching. So what happens in the case of packet switching and circuit switching? We have learned that between the source and the destination, a dedicated path is established in the case of circuit switching. So does it mean that TCP uses circuit switching? No, you cannot say that because circuit switching and packet switching are the concepts which we have in our data link layer. All right. But what we talk about TCP, it is in the transport layer. In the previous screen, we have used a word that TCP uses point to point. Okay. Point to point, which means it is none of the intermediate devices are aware that there is a TCP connection established. All it can see is that some packets are transmitted from the source to the destination. That's the only knowledge these routers or switches are going to have. They are not at all aware about the TCP connection which is established, right? So packet switching and circuit switching cannot be confused with your TCP and UDP. Please take care, because some of us may be tempted, or not, some of us maybe tend to uh, confuse or use circuit switching in the place of TCP and packet switch in the place of UDP. No, it's an entirely different concept, because in the case of circuit switching, the connection is established between every pair of devices, right? But in the case of TCP, it is only between the source and the destination, right? Whatever is sent will be received. TCP takes care of sent to the application layer. Moving on, the third characteristics of TCP is TCP is a connection which permits full duplex. What does it mean? Again, we have got the source machine, we have got the destination machine. TCP connection is established between the source and the destination. Now this is a full duplex, which means I should use arrows like this. All right, this is the way I should represent it. What does it mean? When source TCP or the TCP connection from the, when a data is transmitted using the TCP from the source to the destination, at the same time, or I use the word in parallel, you can have data traveling from destination to the source. So please remember, it is of bidirectional data flow in the single full duplex. You also know what is half duplex. You also know what is simplex. If you haven't heard about this, please Google it. You will come to know what is half duplex, what is simplex. But in that direction, TCP follows full duplex. That's about. Now, what about this MSS? If you have listened to my classes properly and clearly in the earlier sessions, you would have surely heard about this word maximum segment size, right? So this maximum segment size is the size by which the sender TCP transmits the data to the network layer.
So your voice is breaking in between.
All right. So this maximum segment size is related to MTU. Is it okay now? Can you respond? Is it okay now?
Yes, it's okay now.
Yeah, I'll do one thing. I'll change my connection. Just please hold on for a while. Yeah. Am I audible now? Hello. Am I
Yes,
audible
sir.
now?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. So let me share my screen. I hope things are clear now. We'll continue where I have stopped. So I have spoken about the maximum segment size, that is MSS. This is related to maximum transfer unit. That stands for MTU, which stands for maximum transfer unit. Unit defines the size of the datagram, which can be exchanged by the data link over Ethernet, if you have heard about, where very famous data link layer protocol, and which defines the size. So based on the Ethernet protocol, the size of MTU will be only 1460 bytes. All right, please remember this 1460 bytes is the payload. What payload? It excludes the headers. All right, it excludes the TCP header or IP header. So that's the normal size. And you also have variable segment sizes. Defines the size of the transport layer protocol. I'm sorry, transport layer packet, which can be pushed MTU, not to be confused with these two terms. Moving on, TCP also goes for cumulative acknowledgement. What does it mean? We have heard about acknowledgement. All right. So what is the acknowledgement? Let me say this is the sender. I to draw a diagram. Sender, we got the receiver. All right. So sender has sent packet number 1. All right. Now the receiver has received it. This is called acknowledgement. Is it perfect? Yes, this is perfect. Then what's the meaning of cumulative acknowledgement? All right. Now the sender sends the second packet. All right. And the receiver sends the acknowledgement, but there is some problem which happened with this receiver's acknowledgement. But how TCP is defined in such a way that, TCP can continue sending the number of packets to certain level, though it has received the acknowledgement or not. All right. So hence it sends the third packet, and the receiver sends the acknowledgement for the 3. Now, what will the sender side TCP do? It has received the acknowledgement for 3, then it understands that the receiver has received the packet number 2 also delivered. That's the meaning of cumulative acknowledgement. But never mind, we are going to have some interesting examples to talk about this cumulative acknowledgements in the further slides as well. Right. So fourth one, we have TCP talks about the congestion control and flow control as well. I have already spoken to you that flow control is the term which is used in the transport layer, specially used by the transmission control protocol, but will not overwhelm the receiver. All right. I have given the example of dictating a page of notes to you and for you to take up in your notebook. That example I gave for the flow control. What about the congestion control? And again, congestion control happens something similar to that, but at the routers level. This also we have learned earlier. So TCP also supports congestion control and flow control. We have separate sessions to get into the details of flow control and congestion control in the further slides. Right. And then moving on, we have the other parameter or characteristics of TCP, that TCP is connection oriented, right? So what is the meaning of connection oriented? We have told this humpty number of times, right? So sender and the receiver exchanges certain number of control packets or messages that they both are connected. So when you have the TCP sender here. When you have the TCP receiver, sender and the receiver, they handshake each other by a three-way handshake protocol. So this is called the three-way handshake protocol. And what message is sent in the first message? What message is received in the second message? What detail after we learn the header structure of TCP? Because we are going to use some of the fields which are available in the TCP header structure to understand this logic very clearly, right? So all you require to for connection establishment. Similarly, it uses a four message. We don't call it as four-way handshake, but four messages are exchanged to terminate the connection. Okay. So this is to establish, and termination are again important, which also will be talking as we progress. A flow control, I have already spoken that the sender will not overwhelm the receiver. Right. So what are the other, these are the parameters which you have seen so far, that TCP is a point-to-point protocol where there is only one sender and only one receiver. You cannot have a branch in the TCP connection establishment. And it also goes for reliable in-order byte stream. Again, there is a typo. It should be byte stream, STREAM, and there is no message boundaries. Then TCP follows full duplex. We have spoken about maximum segment size. Cumulative acknowledgement, yes, and it supports the flow control and congestion control, and also it supports the connection oriented, or one of the main characteristics is connection oriented protocol. Yes, we have some more time to talk about the next. Yeah, TCP segment structure. When you talk about the UDP segment structure, we have spoken about the UDP segment structure earlier. If you remember, it contains four fields. I expect that you would be remembering this, but anyway, I can help you call. You have got the source port number, and you got the destination port number, and the length or size of the datagram, and also the checksum. The length it talks about, and also we have learned how checksum is calculated and how checksum helps you to find the error. Then what explore every of these fields. So moving on, the first parameter or the first field in the TCP segment structure is your source port as well as destination port. All right. So source port is of 16 bits in size, and again destination port is also of 16 bits in size. Moving on, we have got the sequence number, right? Sequence number size is 32 bits. If you look at the screen, the size of the sequence number is 32 bits in size, right? What is the use of sequence number? It counts the bytes of data. Some of you may be making mistake here. I repeat, segment or the sequence number counts the bytes of the data, not the segment. So this is what highlighted here. Counts how many bytes of data are sent. All right, so it is used to represent the number of bytes of data which are sent, not the number of packets or segments, which is something very closely associated with sequence number is your acknowledgement number. All right, so acknowledgement number is also of 32 bits. All right, so what is acknowledgement number? Very, very interesting one. All right, so don't say acknowledgement number is a number which represents the packets which are received. No. Acknowledged number is a number, all right, but specifically it is the sequence number of next expected byte. All right, so this is an acknowledgement number. That's the reason I said there is a close relation between sequence number and acknowledgement number, right? So sequence number talks about the number of bytes which are received, and the acknowledgement number is the number of the bytes which the sender is expecting from the other side. Okay, that is what your acknowledgement number. All right, moving on, you got the application data, that is variable length. So let's not bother because that depends on the size of the application layer data. In case you are using only a telnet connection, the application layer data will be only 1 byte because telnet is only going to send the control connection initially, right? So it is going to be only 1 byte in size. So that is about the application layer data. It varies. When you go for a transmission of web page or an image file or a video file, then the application layer data will be size will be bigger. Moving on, we got the checksum. You know about what is the internet checksum. That is very similar to what we have in our UDP header. So I skip talking about the internet checksum, otherwise it will be a repetition. All right, then you got the TCP options, and this options fields also very rarely used, which again I'll be talking about that in the later screens. What are the other important fields? Right, other important field is your header length. All right, sir, why should I talk about the TCP header length? If you look at the TCP header, okay, this is of 32 bits in size. So 32 bits in size is equal to 4 bytes. So this is another 4 bytes, 4 bytes, 4 bytes, and 4 bytes. So what is the total size? You got 20 bytes, right? 8, 12, 16, 20. So 20 bytes is the minimum size of a TCP header. So why should I say the header length? Because we have got one field is of variable in length. Because it is variable in length, the header length is required here to explain this. Why should I say this? Because the TCP receiver should understand where the header starts and where it ends, right? So whether it is also part of the data or it is part of the options field. So that decision has to be taken at the receiver side, and hence header length is used to represent. It normally is represented in bytes. Suppose your options field is 20 bytes, for instance. Okay, so 20 bytes, 20 plus 20, 40 bytes. So this field will have the number as 40. Okay, so every 32 bit is taken as one number. So this is 1, this is 1, this is 1, 3, 4, and 5. So when you have another 5, so which means it's going to be 10. I'm sorry. So this every 32-bit word is represented by 1. Moving on, the other 3 parameters are, you got reset, all right, reset, synchronization, and finish. So they are, RST stands for reset, SYN stands for synchronization, FIN stands for finish. Okay, these 3 bits are available in the TCP header to denote the connection management. So shortly we will talk about the TCP connection establishment and termination, where we can easily understand the necessity of these 3 important bits. Specifically, SYN and FIN are very crucial when you talk about TCP connection establishment and termination. We have another 2 more fields pending. One is receive window. In some of the notation, this might be represented as RC underscore window. Okay, so some people would say it is RCW. Okay, so this is called analogy, which I gave to you in the earlier class when I talk about the flow control, where I said, suppose I am dictating something, probably 1 page per minute. You are not able to write it down. Then you would say, sir, this is too fast. Please reduce the speed. Then I would reduce the speed by half, maybe 1 page per 2 minutes or half a page per minute, right? So that's the speed I have reduced. All right. Now this receive window specifies that value. You can read it it is the flow, it is used for flow control. The number of bytes receiver is ready to accept, or number is too much of data, only send this much, otherwise I cannot accept it. That is what flow control we have learned about. So receive window size is initially set when the handshaking is happening. I spoke about the three-way handshake protocol. So during the handshaking, the receive window field will be set, and then during the transmission, if the field, no, if the speed has to be reduced, the value will be represented by the receive window by the receiver. So we have one more final field. Oh, you also have got congestion notification. The final field is your urgent data pointer. This is only for completion sake. All right. So urgent data pointer is not at all used nowadays. But here about the importance of a packet. Suppose you talk about ambulance on the highway, that has to be given a higher priority over other vehicles on the roadway, right? So similar to that, this urgent data pointer indicates the receiver side TCP that please push this information to the upper layer as early as possible. As soon as you receive it, you put them together and send it. So that is what urgent data pointer, but that is not used. Okay, so they would have planned it earlier to include it in the TCP header. It normally is represented as quality of service, right? So, but IP header, whether it is IPv4 or you have got IPv6, so both of them now take care of this quality of service. So this is seldom used in the practical applications now. All right. So this is about the TCP segment structure, TCP header structure. The common fields between the UDP and the TCP header are only 4. They are source port number, destination port number, length, and also the checksum. And what are the other things? You have got the sequence number, you have got the acknowledgement number. There are 6 bits which are used for connection establishment and acknowledgement, notification, and other things. Then receive window is used for flow control, and you have got your option field. So this is the overall view of your TCP segment structure. So this slide I have given to compare the TCP header structure with the UDP header structure, which I have completed in the previous screen. So this is very, very simple, whereas your TCP header structure is relatively complex because it has to take care of a lot of things, right? Right, now it's very, very crucial, very, very important for us to know what is the acknowledgement number. So my voice is clear. Okay, just to confirm it, I come back to our just put some questions just to check whether you have put any messages here. Okay, Ashlyn, whether my voice is clear now? Now it is. Okay, thank you. So I'll proceed. Hope. Okay, voice is also reaching late. Okay, so is that the problem only with Ashlyn? I'm not sure. Maybe with others also. Only Ashlyn has responded. Patan, whether my voice is clear? Or Sriyanshi, Brighton, Madhumita, Shabin, you are all here. Can you respond whether my voice is clear?
Sometimes it's
Yes, sir.
Sir,
Yes, sir.
now it's fine. Sometimes
Okay,
it
now
starts
it's fine.
breaking down.
sir, it's breaking in between.
Okay. All right. So hope now this is clear. So I'll proceed with the presentation.
It's clear, sir.
Yes.
Now it's clear, sir.
Thank you. I'll go ahead. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah. So acknowledgement number is very, very crucial for us to know, because I have seen my students in the earlier batches that there is a slight confusion for them between acknowledgement number and the sequence number. Hence, I thought I'll speak a little more about the acknowledgement number, right? So as I said, sequence number talks about the number of bytes in the available in the segment data. Probably I go for the whole page so that I can explain this. Right now, let's concentrate on these colorful lines. Okay, you got the green, yellow, blue, and ash color lines. So this is very interesting image for us to understand what is sequence number and acknowledgement number. Very simple, right? So you have got something which are denoted as green color, okay, which means sent and acknowledged. Okay, now you have got the sender, you have got the receiver. Okay, and I write the timing diagram as well. So sender has sent a lot of messages, and the receiver also has sent a lot of acknowledgements. All right, so whatever is shown in green color, and you also has got the acknowledgement. So far absolutely no problem. All right, then what comes? Then you got set of now sent but not yet acknowledged, which means the packets are already sent, but you haven't got acknowledgement number. I also have used a word in the earlier slide that TCP goes for cumulative acknowledgement. If you remember that statement correctly, it goes for cumulative acknowledgement. So what does it mean? You can easily understand now. What is cumulative acknowledgement? The TCP sender can send up to n number of packets. Don't worry if you are not able to get at the first attempt. I'll help you to understand. The sender can send n packets without acknowledgement, which means suppose n is equal to send 10 packets to the receiver. It need not wait for the acknowledgement, okay? But it cannot send the 11th packet. Okay, this is the 11th packet for instance. Okay, so it can send 10 packets without acknowledgement, but 11th packet cannot be sent without acknowledgement. So when can the 11th packet be sent? Once the first packet here is acknowledged, then the window will move to the next. So if you have heard about sliding window protocol, this is the best example. Okay, so to talk about that, let me give some packets number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. That these 15 packets are to be sent from the source to the destination, and the n value is 3, for instance. Okay, so what can the sender do? The sender can send the first packet, second packet, and third packet without getting acknowledgement. Okay, once after you get the acknowledgement for the first packet, then you can send the fourth packet, which means at any time acknowledged packet can be to the maximum of n. That's the meaning. All right, so once you get the acknowledgement for the first, you can send the fourth. Once you get the acknowledgement for the second, you can send the fifth. Okay, once you get the acknowledgement for third, you can send the sixth. So at any time, only a maximum of 3 packets can be unacknowledged. Okay, assume that only if your n is 5. In the same example, you can send 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 packets you can send. You cannot send the 6th until you get the acknowledgement for 1. Then you can send the 6th. Okay, so this is what your window size. But this window also I can explain to you probably in a detailed way once time permits later. But now these are the packets which are sent. Now these are the packets which can be sent, but we haven't sent it. No problem. But what is this window? This window talks about not usable. What is not usable? Because these packets cannot be sent. The reason is the earlier sent packet is not acknowledged yet. Okay, so that is the meaning of not usable, which means that window cannot be used. Now, what is this sequence number, right? Now, what is sequence number? This is from the sender. Okay, assume that this is number 1. Okay, just for instance, I'm using this number 1, 2, this is 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Let me say this is 20. Okay, 21, 22, 23, 24. Only for random, some example. So this is called 24. This is called 20. Okay, now the packet till 19 sequence number is the number of the packet, of the byte of the packet which will be sent next. That is called sequence number. Once you are sending, the first byte will be denoted by the sequence number. So in this case, when you are sending, this will be denoted as 19 because till 20, because till 19 packets are sent, sequence number will be 20. Hope you got this. It is the number of the byte, okay, 10th byte or 25th byte, or we call it as canonical number if I'm right, okay, or 100th byte. So that specific number of the byte which are sent now, okay. So that is why we call it's the number of the first byte in that segment, okay. So this is first segment, second segment, third segment. You got 10 bytes, 10 bytes, 10 bytes. If it is starting from 0, this is 0 from 10, this is 10 to 19, this is from 20 to 29. When this packet is sent, sequence number will be 0. When this packet is sent, sequence number will be 10 because that is the acknowledgement number between the sequence number and the acknowledgement number. Do you have a blank? Okay, probably I will I use this one. I use this screen to explain to you the acknowledgement number. Should I use this? Okay, otherwise I'll use the this diagram to talk about the acknowledgement number. Hope you will be able to understand it in a clear way. Right. So this is a simple example which uses telnet. Okay, telnet scenario. Okay, which normally only one byte of data to the other side. Now this is host receiver, source and destination, whatever it is. Okay, from the source or from host A, a packet is sent which has the data called C. C is normally carrying only 1 byte. Okay, it is of only 1 byte. Now it has got a sequence number called 42. Acknowledgement number 79. Don't worry about this 42 and 79 because earlier also some messages would have been exchanged. So based on that, some sequence number and acknowledgement number are used. Okay. Now at this time, sequence number is 42, acknowledge number is 79. It sends only 1 byte of information. All right. So the interesting portion here is what will be the sequence number and the acknowledgement number on the other side. Okay. So this person has to send a response to that. All right. So what will be the sequence number? The sequence number of this packet, okay, which is being sent, will be based on the acknowledgement number. I said acknowledgement number is the number of the byte the sender is expecting from the other side, which means, sir, I have received till 78 perfecting of acknowledgement number, right? So when it is sending a packet, the sequence number will be 79 because that will be the acknowledgement number. Okay, then what will be the acknowledgement number? It will be related to the sequence number. Sequence number is 42 earlier, which means 42nd byte is received, sir. You send me 43rd byte. So that will be the acknowledgement number. Now, I have tried my best to explain to you the relationship between sequence number and the acknowledgement number. Okay, in this case, sequence number is 42. So 42nd byte is sent of size only 1 byte. So it says I have received till 42. Send me 3. So that will be your acknowledgement number. In this case, it sends the acknowledgement number as 39, which means, sir, I have received till 78 perfectly. Where is 79? Okay, that is the acknowledgement number. So the sequence number becomes 79. So without looking this, you can say what will be the sequence and the acknowledgement number. The sequence number will be this acknowledgement number, and acknowledgement number will be I have received till 79. All right, so this is a very simple scenario which we have taken. I have taken to explain to you the relationship between sequence number and acknowledgement number. Right? Probably I can use another example also to talk about that. So I call it as sender A or host A, or this is host B. Let this not be sender. Okay, host A and host B. I use the ladder kind of diagram, the sequence diagram here. So sender A has sent a packet. all right, and it has got a sequence number as 10, okay, and acknowledgement number as 72, all right, and number of bytes is it is sending 100 bytes. Please understand, this is an interesting one. Don't miss this line. Sender A or the machine A has sent a packet with the sequence number 10, acknowledgement number 72, and number of bytes in this segment is 100 bytes. Okay, and he also is sending something to him, and the size here, I use the word size, it is 10 bytes. Okay, 10 bytes of data. Here it is 100 bytes of data. Now, if I ask you what will be the sequence number here, what will be the sequence number, what will be the acknowledgement number, and what will be the sequence number, right? You should be able to find this out. So what will be the sequence number here? What will be the acknowledgement number here? Sequence number, as I have said, is the number of bytes it is expecting. Okay, so it has received the sequence number 10, which means from 10 it has received 100 bytes. Okay, so it has received 11th, 12th, okay, up to what could be the number I have got from 10, 100. So it's going to be 109. So I have received up to 109. Okay, so what will be the acknowledgement number? The acknowledgement number here will be 109. Okay, I'm sorry, 10. The reason is I have received up to 109. Send me 110th packet. That is the acknowledgement number. Okay, what will be the sequence number? Sequence number is the previous number. Okay, it has acknowledged the 72 and it has to send the 72nd packet, which means I have received up to 71. Please send me the 72nd packet. So that will be the sequence number here. Okay, now I leave this as a question to you to fill this. What will be the sequence number? What will be the acknowledgement number? Please remember, it has the relation between this and this when you are filling this value, and this acknowledgement number also has a relation with this, all right, and this, right? So you have to find out what will be the sequence number, what will be the acknowledgement number, in the third message from, which is from the host A to the host B. Okay, so that will be the question I wanted to post to you. I hope you'll be able to find the answer for this, and we can talk something more and we can discuss something more about this in the further classes as well.